Hi, everyone. Welcome to Electorama Weekly. This week, we're going to be covering the Electorama news for July 2026. And I'll start screen sharing that now. And we're going to be going through the Electorama news for July 2026. I'm Rob Lanfear, founder of the Election Methods mailing list, co-founder of ElectorWiki.org, and a board member for the Equal Vote Coalition, though I am not speaking in any official capacity for them. And I'm joined by Taylor Egan-Fisher and Carlo Stefano.
Hello, I'm Taylor Egan-Fisher. I'm a mathematician and blogger. You can find my stuff at eigentaylor.github.io.
Hello, I am Carlo Stefano. I am a student at Sam Houston State University. I love all types of voting systems. You'll find me on YouTube under Carlo Stefano, and that's me.
And now for the Electorama news from July of 2026. So this is what I have up on the screen. You can ignore the little block on the right in the screencast. That will hopefully be fixed by the time you see this episode. But this is mostly automatically generated. The big news for this past month was that we had some downtime for the election methods mailing list, which is one of the core components of the Electorama news. And we ended up switching hosts from DreamHost to a company called EMWD, which EM does not stand for election methods. I can't remember what the acronym or the initialism expands to, but they specialize in mailman hosting, and the mailing list is a lot slicker. The mailing list archive is a lot slicker now, and will eventually have everything all the way back to 1996, hopefully. But as of right now, I believe it's only got back to April of 2015. But that is that's what's been keeping me busy, is getting that back up and running. But we did want to discuss some of the other things in the election methods space that have been highlighted on Reddit, on the voting theory forum, and on the Electorama Weekly video casts as well. So starting off with end FPTP, was there anything that stood out to you two?
I did want to mention Marcus Ogren's Medium post. It was also posted in Reddit.
Was it posted in Reddit? Okay, what was the name of it, or what was? Let's see here. So this was the. By the way, I'm going to just switch the screen over to. Here we go. Share this tab instead. This is Marcus Ogren's blog here. Does RCV increase support for? Oh, does using RCV increase support for RCV? Yeah, maybe, Carlo, I saw this and I maybe skimmed a paragraph or two, but I didn't go into it deeply. Sounds like, Carlo, you went into a lot more depth on this one.
So just from like what I've seen, it is still mixed. Marcus does like to concede. Marcus is very neutral when it comes to these types of things. I'd say that Marcus is more agnostic than most of the people here when it comes to voting methods, within reason, of course. But I find it very interesting how there seems to be this like newer trend, and we've been talking about this for a while on like the national level, but Marcus is pointing to the fact that areas that installed RCV at the local level are starting to be more hesitant to want to support statewide, referendums, ballot initiatives to adopt RCV. And I think that's really interesting, because the most common narrative for the support of RCV, as we all know, is just like it's kind of the sunk cost fallacy that I know Taylor's been talking about. How, you know, it might not be the best, but it has this national momentum, and we're seeing some more evidence like now that that's not really the case, and we're seeing that at least in many instances, local areas are starting to sort of be hesitant towards the system. And I wonder what that speaks to. I'm curious because is that specific to RCB? Will we see that with approval if it, you know, grows further in the United States? Who knows? But this is probably something for us to look either forward to if you like RCB or not. If you don't, wait, did I flip those around? It's something to look forward to if you're not for RCB is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Yeah, it is an interesting effect. I intuitively I can see I can see why like the local use doesn't necessarily extend to statewide use because so Gavin Newsom famously vetoed an RCV bill that was passed by the California legislature a few years ago. And Newsom was mayor of San Francisco when it was enacted here. And I think when people see some of the scalability issues with respect to RCV, they become a little bit skeptical of expanding it to a big statewide thing. We'll see how. So I think, is it New York State that is like potentially moving more toward like I know New York City uses RCV for at least the Democratic primaries, I want to say. Do they? I can't remember if they've got any statewide stuff there or not.
I don't believe they do. I think they use I'm pretty sure they use a partisan primary system as well, just plurality partisan primary, if I'm not mistaken. I think one of the other examples there were some rebuttals. They were talking about, I think, Oregon and Maine. There are people kind of, you know, putting their own comments in the Reddit post. And they were inserting that there were other reasons for Oregon and Maine having these, you know, failures and whatnot about like trying to expand it. Even though I think, yeah, Maine does use it statewide. But yeah, I know that one of the things that they were talking about was money in politics. So who knows? That very much is still a big thing in the voting science community. The money in politics thing is very pervasive. It can be very pervasive, at least. So,
my understanding is that like the polling for like, oh, I enjoyed using RCV. I found it easy to use. Like there's some sort of survivorship bias to that. And like I think it's hard to take the polling that Fair Vote like kind of shows at face value. And often I think the best way to really see if a place actually enjoys using the system is how it does at the ballot box. I think that's probably the best measure overall, but that's debatable.
sure.
So yeah, I know that there's from looking at some of the numbers, I think generally RCV tends to underperform at the ballot box compared to what polling indicates. That was my understanding. And you sort of see a similar sort of complexity tax with like star voting in Oregon. So yeah, and the sample size is small, but of course, like, you know, when approval is at the ballot box, usually it's like overwhelmingly adopted. But again, like it's a very small sample size. And there's also like Seattle where it was right up against RCV. So I don't know. It's complicated. I wish there was more information on like what average tired people feel about like RCV and these more complex ballot types. So it would be interesting. I mean, of course, I'm biased, but I would hypothesize that approval might be a little more resilient.
Is it true? Wait, someone please fact check me if they know. Is it true that something like half of the eligible voting population doesn't vote?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. Yeah, voter turnout. Generally speaking, voter turnout is considered wildly successful if it gets over 50%.
Sure. Okay.
Of eligible voters, and I think 30 to 40% is typical. I think, but that's based on my intuition and what I vaguely remember.
I've heard a
super fact checked.
Yeah. I've heard a talking point, so it is a talking point. So someone in the comments, please correct me if not. But like, the talking point was something like half of the American electorate doesn't vote, and the half that does vote, half of them identify with either of the two major parties. So there is kind of this sort of on paper theory that like when you expand the political creativity, maybe you enfranchise those ordinary voters again. And so Taylor, you might have a point that bringing in something really simple but probably has enough to really like push through with the political creativity and have the accountability and responsiveness and stuff might enfranchise more people to go vote, might bring the ordinary tired voter to the polls, or at least to fill in their mail-in ballot or something, right? So hopefully we'll see that. Fingers crossed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there anything else from so I did find the post about Marcus's stuff. It was from the July 5th. And even though personally I haven't read fully read through this article, I know Marcus always posts very smart stuff, and it's one of those things. I just haven't gotten around to reading it, not because I shouldn't. Like, it's good stuff. But any other things that we wanted to talk through in either this list of the end first past the post subreddit, or other things?
I would like to express my approval for the meme that was at the top. It was like the majoritarian versus utilitarianism or majoritarianism meme. I just want to express my approval for that.
One. Yeah, right. This one.
Let's see. Utilitarian versus majoritarian.
It's a cross post from r/math memes. So that's expressing my approval for that.
That's sweet. That's cute. I like that. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else?
Yeah. I don't know if you, Rob, had something extra specific that you wanted to mention. I would like to briefly look over another NFPTP post that I saw in here, which is very interesting. It was the interactive proportional America simulation, or multi-party America simulation.
Right. Yes, let's see here.
Should be maybe towards the top, if I'm not mistaken.
There we go. There it is. This one. Okay. Should we? Well, I'll go to the Reddit post. Interactive simulation, and then I'll click on the simulation link.
Yes.
And there we are. This is the multi-party America, and there's a lot of parties here. Yeah, Carlo, why don't you talk me through this one?
Yeah, sure. So I'd love to take a deeper dive one day into this, because this looks way more intentional than a lot of the, I guess, multi-party America predictions usually go. Like it's more intentional than they usually go down, I guess. One thing I will say is that there are 11 parties, and I wonder what was the methodology to get there, and especially with these, like they're using, if I'm not mistaken, they're comparing STV and party list, which is very interesting. Yeah, because there's like nationalist, conservative, populist. There's like, and then they have this part right here where they have the ideological constellation. Yeah, but this distribution is based on that. This one right here is kind of based on normal. I don't want to say normal data, but like established data, if I'm not mistaken. Like I've seen this pattern or distribution before when it comes to the American electorate of trying to pin down exactly how they're thinking. But it's interesting because they also have like STV in there. It's very interesting.
Wait a minute. So I see STY. Wait a minute. Okay, so the STV, what is voting systems at a glance? Okay.
And they have a bunch of stuff here. Yeah, like they included round robin, they included IRV, STV, and open party list.
Oh yeah, I just noticed. Okay, I was like, oh, would they refer to it as rank? No, they didn't refer to it as ranked robin. They referred to it as round robin.
Round robin, yeah.
Okay, which is fine. Like that's
very interesting. I really want to know the methodology behind these voters left unrepresented situation. I don't know what they're using to compare these here. The 35% point, 35% with first past the post, basically, and then party list would be 20% voters left unrepresented. STV would be 0.5%. I'm very curious about how they establish those numbers, but that's very interesting.
Well, I'm gonna guess it was probably so the party list. Are they assuming just Democrats and Republicans? That's probably what it is.
Like they're taking just like the statewide vote or whatever, and then just like kind of comparing it by percentage. Interesting.
Yeah, and right, and then the STV is sort of the theoretical maximum based on based on the ideal application of STV on for proportional representation, which it should do that well. Like that's I don't doubt that that STV would get that sort of coverage.
Well, that specific, doesn't that relate? I don't want to get too far into proportional theory and whatnot, but like, would that be because of it's like it satisfies proportionality of something coalition, solid coalitions? Is that what it is? I'm not sure. That's like STV's main thing. It's like you can eliminate candidates in various ways and it still works out decently well, like irrelevant of how many candidates you eliminate, which is very interesting. But yeah, I mean, of course it could lead to different results that we wouldn't like, but it does try to take as much data as possible, you know, while doing the first choice votes thing.
Yeah, I do not know much like, you know, I haven't read this in depth. I've only skimmed it. And yeah, I mean, I could see an ideal application of STV causing the pretty broad representation like this, like, you know, where everybody feels like, okay, I got my candidate, or I got my party at least, you know, and especially if the ideal application involves the 10 or 11 parties that are defined on this page. Like one of the
Oh, it's titled STV, but it means, oh no, STY, is that what it is?
Well, there's an STY on
Solidarity.
that was what I was. Yeah, that's not a party,
Yeah, okay.
or rather, that is a STY is a party which stands for, or theoretical party which stands solidarity.
Solidarity. Yeah, okay. That's what I was seeing on the chart. I was like, why on earth is STV in the middle? It was STY. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So yeah, that's that.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is interesting. This is the presidential outcomes section, and it says Condorcet would pick the Solidarity Party, and IRV would pick Labor.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, this is definitely something that I want to try my best to look into the methodology of all this, because this is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Does anything here read like auto-generated, like AI generated for the program at all? For the display?
I have no idea. Let's see here. So built by Braden Decker, built on CES 2024 survey data, 10-party STV simulation. Yeah, I'll zoom into, hopefully make the text a little bit bigger here. Yes. Contact info and a whole bunch.
173 out of 1,726 house seats.
Huh.
Wow.
Right. So, right. So this is, I'm gonna guess this is like also combined with uncap the house.
It's Wyoming rule times 3. It's 750. No, 575 times 3 plus 1. That it's 3x Wyoming rules to give Wyoming a minimum of 3, so that it could do STV compatibly with 3, with a average 3.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating.
Yeah, so that's that was one of the posts on the N First Past the Post subreddit. And yeah, is there any, let's see here, any other anything else that we want to do a deep dive on in that section, or any of the other sections?
The Marcus thing was the main thing for me, but other than that, it was a pretty interesting week so far. A lot of information.
Mm-hmm.
We're running up on time.
Yeah. I guess one other thing I was going to say. So at the end, this is going to be a normal feature of the Electorama News. Is we're going to have an Electorama Weekly section, which describes all of the Electorama Weeklies for the previous month, or for the month in question. The 2 big interviews that we did in July were 2 outside interviews we did. Were with Barbara Bristow Johnson at the beginning of the month, and then Kara Ong Whaley from Better Choices for Democracy. But we also talked about Taylor's essay about the Better Choices for Democracy thing, called Better Choices as a Neat Idea. Yeah, so there is so the Electorama Weekly is also summarized in the newsletter. Election methods mailing list was not terribly active, although there's there's the test messages that I made, plus the like Christopher Munsterhelm was the one that he has more PR investigations there. You can see now this, like, you get a nice pretty view on the Electorama website now. for archive posts, whereas before it was a very antique version of the election methods mailing list archive.
Mhm.
It was Mailman. It was an antique version of Mailman, which is the software that we use for the list software, and it was like this old paper mail archive that was on HTTP, which meant that your browser would throw warnings at you if you tried to visit it. It was bad. Anyway, now this is a nice, pretty looking summary of the stuff, and Christopher's stuff goes very deep on deep in the weeds and the math of some proportional representation stuff. I don't know. I think this is all stuff that's kind of more in Taylor's wheelhouse than mine. Was there anything? Did you actually read Christopher's thing? At least not.
I haven't had a chance to go deep into it.
Yeah. I mean, he also posts very smart stuff, which with infinite time, a lot of us would be able to read a lot more of this stuff, but alas. All right. So should we call this this week's episode good?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, that was the Electorama Weekly for August 5th. We're recording this on August 3rd, but we're going to publish this on August 5th, 2026. And I'm Rob Lanfear.
I'm Taylor Eigenfisher.
I'm Carlo Stefano.
And thanks for watching Electorama Weekly.
Bye.